And hello, good evening, welcome to Assembly 2012. My name is Frankie, welcome to your first view and visit of the compostudio. I am here with my dear friends Tolle and Waffle. We have just had the Gamedev compo and we are going to see what we thought about it and our general comments. So let's just jump into the comments. Tolle, Waffle, I'll start with you. Tolle, your impressions on the Gamedev compo, please.
Pretty okay. Most of it was kind of generic and expected, and some things jumped a little bit out and were different, and tried some different angles. Was quite interesting stuff.
So some interesting things, but most of it in the middle.
Yeah.
What's your Waffle? Is it like agreeable on that, or is it like complete opposite? Come on.
There were some interesting ideas, but I think predominantly there were three things that a game should be, and one is original, one is fun, and the other one is flashy. And it's okay to only have two of those three things. And there was very little originality in the compo. Having said that, there were some fun ones, and while nothing really got two of the three for me, I think it's clear which one I'm going to prefer.
Okay, but that's looking at my notes. That's mostly what I written down. I have only written down fun at 2 of the 16 entries.
15, 16.
Yeah, 15, and 15, 16. Just said that actually I made a note. This is fun at 2 or 3 of the entries, and also like cute graphics. Just a couple. Most of them were like okay platformer-ish things, but then some puzzlers as well. So and I didn't really get them. For instance, I don't know what did you got any of them? Some of them were quite cryptic.
The two that stuck out for me the most, with the exception of the one I'll come to later, was I believe it was the second one, which was basically a beat 'em up. And I really hate to do this, but it is exactly what I don't want to see from a game dev competition. It took an established idea and it didn't develop on it. And the other one was, I think it was like Asteroid Miner or something, and it said the only game to do this, well I can think off the top of my head 3 different games, one of them being Elite, one of them being EVE Online, and the other one being, I think it's called X2 or X3 or whatever, it was the X series anyway. It just kind of lacked in certain areas. There were, however, some really good examples of excellent gameplay in there. I'm struggling to think of the name of it, but the thrust clone, basically, you know what I mean?
The thrust clone. I didn't really catch if you had to control your ship or your base with the keyboard, or was it mouse control, because the mouse seemed to be pointing at where to shoot, and then the controls go to keyboard. We didn't get that info, of course. This is one of the ones that I would like to play myself. So outside of those, do you guys have one that say, well, okay, I'll download this one and try it for at least half an hour?
Yeah, that's.
Is there one in there?
One is certainly one.
That's
that
one
I
of them.
would like
is
to
there
try.
another one? Because that's not my choice. I need your choice.
Yeah. But I think we can agree on that. And then the last one, which was kind of a 3D-ish puzzler where gravity was involved. I didn't quite understand it from just watching it, but I would definitely want to try and play it to see how
which is what a game should pull you in, which is good.
Indeed, what it should do.
It should invite you.
Yeah.
Waffle.
I couldn't agree more, basically. There are some games where you pick it up within 5 seconds and you understand it and you can play it for hours. Our sponsor Rovio's Angry Birds is a perfect example of that. You pick it up,
how
you
it
know
works.
it exactly. There are some games where the barrier to entry is so high they're just horrible. And the fact is that some of those games, like you say, I think within 5-10 minutes you would have picked it up, you'd be enjoying it, and you might have got something more out of it than would have first met the eye. And the games have been available for a little while, I think.
About a week and a half, 2
Windows
weeks.
and Windows Mobile based.
Yeah.
But
Now,
we'll see what comes out of them.
You also mentioned the game had to have a few aspects of it. So did you mention simplicity?
Now, simplicity is one of those things
there's one thing which is the racer, the gravity racer by Todd called K2, which it's no great graphics, not really a wow soundtrack, but it's so easy and so simple that, and it's. I also see that you have to race. You had 3 levels, and you had to race, and you would actually get into the thousands of seconds. I find that it's simplicity at its best. But
Well,
it's fantastic.
look at what Tart have done before. I mean, we've had Porstovat and Rekatovat as well, which are incredibly simplistic games. Yes, there are slightly more complex things you can do, but they have mastered simplicity. So, yeah, I'd certainly agree with that.
Does anyone remember the Clamorous game which was released at, I think it was Last Breakpoint? Which, where you had to move your guy not to get blocked with elevators and trash cans.
Yes.
So we're at the same simplicity level here. So
yeah, they played that quite well.
That was done, and I really wonder if that game has an internet high score. That would be massive. Shave 1,000th of your best time of some guy in a strange country.
Well, no. When they were playing K2, I seem to remember there was internet high score on the screen. So that probably does make sense. And I don't know if you've ever played the game. It used to be called Across. I think it's now called Elastomania. It was a motorbike game. Oh, it's also called Moto X. Moto X. And you can download levels and do that and whatever. If the Tart game could be expanded so that you could have, you remember on like Worms how you had dynamically generated textures and scenes and whatever. That would be perfect. If you could have a seed code that would generate a level for you.
Blah.
Perfect. To be honest, if that doesn't win, people aren't voting correctly.
Again, they are not voting correctly.
I'm not really sure. It's in my top 3, but just for the old schoolness sake, me being an old guy from a faraway country, the second game, the beat 'em up, which was a Double Dragon clone. They had the mid-level boss, they had the end-level boss, they had big boss with the shooting gun, which you cannot beat without adding quarters and everything. That's also pulling you in, knowing that I almost have him.
Yeah. This is true. I mean, I am very biased against that kind of game. I've always been very against violent games, as it were. But having said that, yeah, I suppose if you've got a decent old like Amiga style joystick with the clutch in the middle, you're really going for it. You can,
One
you
button
really
for everything.
Exactly.
And, okay, space bar for special weapon.
Yeah. Well, imagine it could be integrated in some kind of arcade machine. I believe there's a seminar on it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Who would be doing that, I wonder?
Me.
Ah, very
yes,
good.
indeed.
So the Tart game, I think for me is definitely
one of the, and then the not really 3D shooter, which was kind of a shame. I forgot the name of the game, and I can look at it on my phone, but I have to move. It's really almost a shame that you didn't have had the third dimension going in. It looked 3D, but it's remained 2D. Lots of shiny, but it looked at it didn't. It remained at 2D. Is that a shame, or let's say, do more, Tolle?
Yeah, they could have done more, but yeah, you always have constraints, and I think they did pretty well with what they have done. Thing is, it doesn't have to stop there. They can do more later. For now, it shows potential.
Okay. Oh, and that was
anyway.
Awful. Okay, well, that was at 15 pixels now. I want to add one more, my favorite, just because of the music.
Okay.
Which was number 13, Myra, which was a big platformer, bit like Super Mario, but really large, but with wop-wop music.
I think that was the one I missed when I was in the lift.
That was the one you missed, so I'm going to hand this over to Tolle.
Yeah, it was. Everybody was just waiting for the drop.
Yeah,
so,
because
it came. It was delivered.
It was announced and advertised. You know, like they're building up to something, and then it's quite sad it didn't jump with the wops on the screen. But
that would have been nice.
That's the soundtrack part. So, any other games which have jumped out for both of you, Waffle?
All I can say is K2. Everything in that competition had people had obviously put effort into it, and with 15 entries in the competition, you know that people are taking a competition seriously. I mean, I've been coming to Assembly now for 11 years. I think this is my 10th year as an organiser, and I think the first Gamedev compo was in my first year here. And every year there are stuff which is not to my cup of tea, but still loads of effort, and stuff that is fantastic, but looked like it took 2 seconds to write.
Okay.
And
My favorite game is NG15, the asteroid one.
Okay. I will add now with one thing I noticed, that looking at all the mobile platforms, except for one Java game, it was all Windows.
Yeah.
yes, all Windows Mobile 7 or whatever it's called.
Well, no, some were announced for Mobile 7,
Yeah.
but they were still running the preview in Windows. So, have we missed something that we're not doing? I was expecting iOS games, Android games, this being the land of Angry Birds.
Something with a lot of complexity takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. Yes, we're in the demo scene and we see demos that sometimes take 3, 4, 5, 6 months to create or longer. But at the end of the day, this is a Gamedev compo. What you want to concentrate on more is generating a good idea that is playable. Who cares about the graphics? The graphics come second in my book.
Absolutely.
The playability is first.
I'm talking platform here.
Yeah.
So you say, well, whatever platform.
What's going to be the alternative? I mean, I believe it was either PC or mobile, and PC to 99% of the people out there, even in the home of Linux, is going to be Windows, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well, one was Windows and XNA, so potentially it could be ported to the Xbox.
It's which on paper should be easily portable. Tolle, your view on this?
Yeah, they were mostly Windows based, but
15
I think
out of 16,
a lot
yes.
of a lot of them had Windows, and there was a Windows version was playing,
Coming.
and they had a Linux version
So-
or something else in the pipeline coming next.
So could we maybe comment, well, okay, mobile-wise, things in the pipeline for Windows Mobile?
Yeah, some of
Okay.
it looked like it could work well on a phone.
Okay, now I think this concludes the Game Compo for us. Waffle, you had an organizatorial announcement to make before
Yes.
we end.
So just to concentrate on this, I've been following a little piece of news that we've got. During this competition, a load of people on the 3rd floor were kicked out because they were preparing for the sleeping area. Now, there seems to have been a miscommunication that has happened out there. The idea is that most of the doors are going to be locked and available for exit for emergency only. So you'll only be able to enter through doors 309, 310 and 311, but you will be able to filter around the outside of the hall. I'm going to wait for more updates on that and we'll give it you later on. But basically, you have to only enter by those 3 doors, which are between, I believe, near exits B and C. So you have to go up the stairs near to some of the booths and then turn back on yourself. But it will all become more clear, less like mud over the next day or so. And we should have some absolutely stonking competitions. It should be absolutely fantastic. Assembly is always a fantastic demo party to go to.
It is. I have pitched in some of the jury things. We have some very nice things coming. So for that now we will wrap up for this evening. This was the Gamedev Compo. I have been Frankie with my guests Tolle and Waffle from the Compo room here. Our next compo will be tomorrow afternoon, 1600 hours, which is one of the fast compos. We will see you then. Thank you for watching.